blaming people who assumed that she would win. Nobody did anything to Hillary Clinton. The FBI did nothing to Hillary Clinton. Number one, because there was obstruction of justice by the Obama administration. We'll talk about this in just a second. But everybody expected Hillary to win, so nobody did anything to her. They thought, man, she's going to win. She'll save herself here. But James Comey, didn't James Comey used to work for Lockheed? And then Lockheed became a gigantic donor to the Clinton Foundation. And didn't James Comey's brother do taxes for the Clinton Foundation? Anybody want to look that up and see if they get surprised? And then we've got all this evidence, 33,000 plus classified emails dumped off a private server in a bathroom in Denver, Colorado, and nobody does a thing to Hillary Clinton. Nobody does anything about it. Now, you tell me where the obstruction of justice is. You tell me who the criminal is. It's not President Trump. I mean, look, there's evidence against Hillary. There's no evidence against President Trump for doing anything wrong. How do I know that? Well, because that's what Comey testified to. Number six on the list of things we learned in the James Comey testimony this week. Number 6, Loretta Lynch pressured Comey to cover for Hillary Clinton. That is true. Loretta Lynch, from the Obama administration, not the Trump administration, pressured James Comey to talk about her investigation as a matter, not an investigation. You know why? Because the word investigation would impact the election. And the Obama administration did not want voters to think that Hillary was under investigation. That's why Loretta Lynch obstructed justice and pressured the director of the FBI, James Comey, to say that it was a matter, the Hillary Clinton investigation was a matter and not an investigation. But people, we know who was being investigated the whole time. There's where more liberal hypocrisy comes into play. These Democrats want to run around saying that Trump is under investigation. No, he's not. He never has been. Well, we don't want a president under investigation. But you voted for somebody to become president who was under investigation. See, you liberals, you don't want anybody to be under investigation in the White House unless it's another liberal. Then you're totally cool with it, right? As long as it's Hillary, then we're okay. It's just all made up stories. But if it's President Trump, man, he's guilty. Let's draw and quarter him. Let's burn him at the stake. It's just hypocrisy, people. Stop being hypocrites. Number 5 on the things we learned about James Comey's testimony. Number 5, James Comey leaked his own memo. James Comey had a dinner meeting with President Trump about information that did not need to be revealed to the press. There was nothing illegal about it, which is probably why he won't be investigated for this. President Trump didn't do anything illegal. He simply had a dinner meeting to talk to James Comey, to ask for loyalty to the country, not to President Trump. He didn't ask for loyalty to himself. But Democrats are freaking out about this. They're going nuts. The president has the ability to have a dinner meeting with the director of the FBI, just like he's got the ability to fire the director of the FBI. So what are we going to do, Democrats? We're going to start another conspiracy theory? Now there's FBI collusion? I don't think so. Number 4, James Comey was specifically asked this question, and this is how he answered. Number 4, Russia did not alter the election outcome. Russia did not alter the election outcome. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a fact. If there's anyone in America who thinks that the Russians were the ones who came out and voted in the polling places, you have lost your mind. There is not one single person from the Russian government who came over to America to vote for President Trump. But then you got to ask yourself, why would they not want Hillary to be president so bad? Think about it. I mean, the Russians didn't want Hillary to be president as bad as the Americans didn't want Hillary to be president. She's a nightmare. Hillary Clinton is a disaster. Nobody wants Hillary Clinton to be president. Not Russia, not America. But did Russia have anything to do with the outcome of the election? Absolutely not. Number 3, things we learned from James Comey's testimony. This is how James Comey answered this question. President Trump did not collude with Russia. There is absolutely no evidence, none whatsoever, pointing to President Trump colluding with Russia. And the reason why we can say that is because of reason number 1 that we'll talk about here in just a second. But there's no evidence that says President Trump colluded with Russia. None. There's no reason to think President Trump colluded with Russia. President Trump campaigned for himself. He ran his own campaign. He blew every other Republican completely out of the primaries. I mean, didn't they all quit before it was over? Wasn't it just down to Ted Cruz and President Trump, and Ted Cruz wasn't even getting votes? I mean, come on, man. Nobody wants to give Donald Trump the credit for running a ridiculous campaign for the good, for the better, and smoking Hillary Clinton. Nobody wants to give him credit for that. But think about it. Is there anybody else in this world who would have beat Hillary Clinton? I don't think so. I don't think there's anybody else in this entire world who would have beat Hillary Clinton, and not even her own husband. I think people would have voted for Hillary before they would have voted for Bill again if it was possible. I think they also would have voted for Hillary before they would have voted for Obama again if it was possible. Some people say, well, that's not true because Obama won the 2008 primaries. Well, Hillary dropped out of that primary too. She made a deal with old Barry Hussein Obama that if she dropped out of the primary and gave it to him, let him be president, that he would just set it all up so she could be president when he was finished. Now, if that's not collusion, I don't know what is. But guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work. President Trump beat Hillary by 10-plus states in the Electoral College. I don't know how many electoral votes. I'd have to look up the exact number. But he smoked her. Smoked. So President Trump did not collude with Russia. James Comey was specifically asked about that, and he said, no, he did not collude with Russia. Now, who would have more evidence than the director of the FBI? Nobody. Folks, don't you think if there was some type of collusion out there, if there were any evidence at all, don't you think it would have come to light by now? I mean, come on. It's been 6 months. Well, almost 6, yeah. Well, I guess it's almost been 180 days. We're coming up on the Trump presidency. But it's been nearly 6 months since President Trump was inaugurated. It's been, 8 months since President Trump was elected. Don't you think that some type of evidence would have reared its ugly head in the meantime? And you can't blame other people. We're talking about President Trump. We're not talking about meetings that people had. We're not talking about Jared Kushner setting up a back channel with the Russians, which is completely legal. There is nothing illegal about what Jared Kushner had a conversation about, setting up a back channel to have contact with the Russians. There is nothing illegal about that. But what do the liberals do? They scream and cry anyway, because they've got to have something to blame for Hillary's loss. There's got to be a reason. They can't give Trump the credit. They can't say President Trump ran a great campaign. They have to have some crazy conspiracy theory about another superpower in the world just to blame a loss for Hillary bombing in the election. Can we find more productive things to do, like pass tax reform, Democrats? Like pass a decent health care plan, Democrats? Because everybody's bailing out of Obamacare. It just keeps happening. As the days go by, the weeks go by, more and more people, by the millions, are losing coverage with Obamacare. Now, number 2 on the things we learned about James Comey's testimony this week. President Trump did not obstruct justice in no way, shape, or form. And this is how the FBI director, former FBI director James Comey, testified. In no way, shape, or form did President Trump ask or direct James Comey to stop the investigation about Russia. He never asked him to stop the investigation about Flynn. President Trump did not obstruct justice. Plain and simple. And if you're one of those people who doesn't understand that and you can't figure that out by now, then maybe, there's 2.5 hours on YouTube alone of James Comey's testimony. Go listen to it. It's very, very simple, people. It's very, very simple to comprehend. If you don't want to comprehend it, you're not going to. But you have to want to. I went back and forth with a guy on Twitter today who did not understand the new health care plan that the Republicans are trying to pass. Well, it's because he won't read about it. Folks, I told him 5 different places where he could read about the American Health Care Act, and he will not go do it. He just wants to sit and bitch. That's what the liberals are good for. They're perfect to sit around and bitch. They don't want to read. They want to listen to everything the mainstream media tells them, fake news. They want to believe everything CNN says, everything MSNBC says, everything the Washington Post says, anything that's negative about Donald J. Trump. That's what the liberals want to listen to. They don't want to go read the bill for the American Health Care Act. And I told this guy, I said, look, here's 5 different places you can go read about it. Well, I don't have time for that, he says. I said, tell you what, here's a link to my podcast. Here's the problem. The episode is titled Trump Care 101. Give that a short listen to. And his response was, I shouldn't have to listen to a podcast to learn about health care. Well, let me ask you something, liberals. If you refuse to read and you refuse to listen, how are you going to learn? What more is there for you? If you don't want to read, you don't want to listen, how are you going to learn about anything? It's not going to happen. So if you guys don't want to listen to James Comey's testimony, that's fine. I'm breaking down the 10 things we learned about James Comey's testimony this week. Number 2, we just covered. Trump did not obstruct justice. Number 1, James Comey admitted this 3 different times. Number 1 on the things we learned about James Comey's testimony is that President Trump has never, ever been under personal investigation. So for all you liberals out there, all you do is sit around and say, oh, Trump's under investigation. No, he's not. For those of you who sit around and cry about Trump, oh, we can't trust Trump, he's under investigation. No, he's not. President Trump is not under investigation. The only thing that's been under investigation, besides Hillary Clinton 5,000 times, is whether or not Russia had anything to do with our elections. James Comey already testified that they had no impact. Russia had no impact on the outcome of the election. That was point number 4, where James Comey said Russia did not alter the election outcome. Okay, that's the only thing that's been under investigation. not President Trump. So for you liberals